What's up, guys? Welcome back to the poker vlog. This is episode number 18. It's a really special episode. I've been excited to put it out. I play 5-10 at Bellagio and there are lots of straddles, so it kind of ended up being a 5-10-20 game. It played pretty big and there are lots of interesting hands. It's the biggest that I've ever played actually on this channel, so hope you guys enjoy it. I play against Danielle Moon Anderson, or perhaps better known as Dmoongirl. She's an online crusher. And I also play against the #King. He recently won a WPT. He is Dan Bilzerian type of character, just kind of a complete maniac, not afraid to gamble at all. Him and I get into it in a big hand, and he actually filmed his perspective of it. So at the end of this episode, I sync both of those together and I show them simultaneously. It's pretty cool. Definitely stick around for that. But before we get into it, I want to give a special thanks to the guys at I'm a Whale. Not only do they have the best company name in all of poker, but they're just a great group with a really good reputation within the poker community. They're sponsoring this episode. If you're not aware of who they are or what they do, they stake players for online cash games and also multi-table tournaments. So they stake people for sites like Ignition and other US friendly sites. They've got a great active community of players and coaches, and they're just really trying to develop players and help them move along through the stakes. So once again, that's for online poker players only. If you're interested, you can go ahead and check them out. I've got a link in the description box below. Go to their site and apply for a backing arrangement if that's something that you're in need of. So thanks a lot to them. Let's go ahead and get into the episode now. Hope you guys enjoy it. It's 11:30 on March 29th. I have already played for 9 or 10 hours today, lost a few hundred at Red Rock, but my buddy Kevin told me that the 5-10 game is good at Bellagio, so I'm about to head over there. Walking in right now to the poker room. Don't usually play 5-10, so hoping this will go well.
I signed up for 3 episodes, that's it. Contract is done.
Cool, thank you. After saying hi to Kevin, I jump into the game. There are a few faces that I recognize. It's mainly rec players though. There's only one other pro in the game, so it looks pretty good. During the first orbit, I pick up Queen 10 offsuit in the big blind. Player in middle position limps in, and so does the cutoff. The small blind calls, and I check. The flop comes Jack 9-3 with 2 hearts. The small blind checks. We've got an open ender with 1 over and a backdoor flush draw. We bet 30. The player in middle position folds. The cutoff calls, and the small blind comes along as well. The turn is an offsuit deuce, and the small blind checks. Seems like a good opportunity to double barrel. We bet 110. We don't want to get called. I'd also bet big with a set or 2 pair as well, since I'm up against 2 opponents and don't want to give any drawing hands the right price to call. Both players fold without giving it much thought, and we take down the first pot that we're involved with. Here we have ace-jack offsuit in middle position. It folds to us, and we raise it up to 40. The small blind calls, as does the big blind, and we go 3 ways to the flop. The flop comes out ace-10-5 with 2 diamonds. Both players check. There are several draws on this board, so betting here is good because there are lots of worse hands that can call a bet. But I have a hand that I only plan on getting 2 streets of value from, so I usually alternate between checking flop or checking turn. Here I check back the flop for pot control and to get more information by seeing what my opponents do on the turn. Looking back, I like checking the flop more when I have a diamond in my hand because it makes it less likely my opponents will have a flush draw and there will be fewer bad turn cards for me. The turn comes out and it's the 9 of clubs. Both players check again. It's unlikely either of them have me beat. I bet 70. The small blind calls and the big blind folds. The river is the 8 of diamonds, the opponent checks. Despite the flush draw getting there and a few straights getting there as well, it seems too weak to check back, especially since we checked back the flop for pot control already. I bet 160 with plans to fold if I get raised. The small blind calls, I turn over my hand and it's good. It's possible he had an ace. I only beat a few weak ones though, so checking back on the flop worked out well this time since he seemed to have called the turn and river bets fairly light. Next hand, we don't get quite so lucky. We pick up king-queen suited in middle position in a straddle pot, so it's 5-10-20, and right now the table is 7-handed. It folds to us, and we bet 60, which is 3 times the straddle amount, pretty standard for this situation. It folds around to the straddler, who was our opponent in the last hand, and he calls. We're heads up, and the flop comes queen 10-4 with 2 hearts. The straddler checks, and we're in a similar situation that we were in earlier. We've got top pair on a draw heavy board. Again, not necessarily the best time to check back, but it worked out well last time, so we stick with it. I check. The turn is another 10. He checks. I'm feeling pretty good. There aren't too many hands that beat us right now. I bet 70, and this time he raises it to 200. We've under-repped our hand up to this point, and he checked 2 streets already without any great reason to think that we'd bet the turn. He could have a 10, but he can also be semi-bluffing or bluffing with all kinds of different combinations. Since it looks like we missed the flop, then maybe took a stab at it on the turn with a hand like ace-king, ace-jack, or pocket nines. We can't fold after the way we played it so far. We call the extra 130. The river is the 2 of clubs. It's a complete blank. All of the possible draws miss. He bets 340. We're not going to fold when nothing gets there on the river. We call, and he has 10-5 offsuit. Checking back the flop obviously didn't work out well for us in this hand, but I don't see how we would have won either way. Anyone who calls with 10-5 offsuit pre-flop probably isn't going to fold to a bet on the flop once they make a pair. So if we replayed this hand, and I did bet flop, then on the turn it's possible he might have let out, but most likely we'd have both checked. Then on the river, he'd have bet and I'd have called. I think I ended up losing a few hundred more than I would have if I had bet the flop, but this is a 5-10-20 hand, so a few hundred isn't really that much in this game, and I did get 5 outed, so it's important not to be too result oriented when comparing the 2 strategies. 2 orbits later, we pick up ace-4 offsuit. The same opponent straddles under the gun. This time we're 6-handed. Under normal circumstances, this is just a fold pre-flop. Even playing 6-handed, it's just too weak. But I attempt to try and ISO the straddler in position, knowing that the last time he called me with 10-5 offsuit, meaning he'll probably defend with any 2 cards. I raise to 60, and the plan doesn't work out for us. We get called by the cutoff and the button. The blinds and the straddler fold, so we go 3 ways to the flop, and we're out of position. The flop comes out ace, king, queen, rainbow. Not a bad flop. We made top pair. We bet 110 into 215. The cutoff calls and the button folds. We don't know much about our opponent other than the fact that she's a rec player. We don't expect her to have too strong of a hand though, since she didn't 3-bet pre-flop. She most likely won't have a set or ace-king. She could have potentially just called with ace-queen or king-queen though. I'm thinking we're mainly up against a pair in a gutter, like ace-jack, ace-10, or king-jack, king-10 type of hands. We could also be up against jack-10, which is the nuts. The turn is a 7, and this is where I make the biggest mistake of the night. I bet 240, and I didn't have a great reason for doing so. I thought there might have been several hands that I have beat that she might have called a flop bet with, and I didn't want to give her a free card. I also thought that there were some hands that have me beat that she might fold to a bet with, so I sort of turned my hand into a bluff, and my hand has a lot of value, so it's not a great candidate to turn into a bluff. What I should have done is check fold, since one pair hands are most likely going to be content checking back and seeing a free card, so if she does bet, I can be fairly certain that I'm way behind and just give it up. Anyway, I bet 240, and she slides her chips in as soon as I announce my action. She then asks if I have aces or kings. The river is a great card. It's a 4, giving me 2 pair. Now I beat all 1 pair hands and king queen. She hasn't raised me at any point so far, which I figured she'd have done by now if she had a hand that was better than king queen. I bet 500 for value. She calls before I can get my chips in there and says, set of kings is good. I thought to myself, man, I really hope I don't need a set of kings to beat you. Turns out I did. I roll over 2 pair and she turns over pocket queens. I could say I got coolered a little bit here, and she played her hand unconventionally by not 3-betting, which worked out well in her favor. The real story is that I made a mistake pre-flop that compounded as the hand played out. I opened with a hand that I shouldn't have opened with, then got myself into trouble and misplayed the turn. The flop and river were fine, but I ended up losing over 1,000 in a hand that I shouldn't have been involved with from the start. We now add 1,100 to the stack, so we're in for 2,600 total, and we pick up ace-8 of spades in the cutoff, playing 6-handed. Under the gun +1 has been fairly active and opens to 30. I have a few options that all seem reasonable, and I choose to call. The small blind announces a raise to 130. She's a 2-5 and 5-10 reg that I've known since I moved out to Vegas about 5 years ago. It's a different woman than my opponent in the last hand. This player is solid for the most part, but makes moves and asserts aggression when she finds good opportunities to do so. The initial pre-flop raiser folds. It's now back on me. I call, knowing that the small blind is fully capable of putting on a squeeze play with hands like small suited aces, king queen, king jack, and queen jack type of hands that have blockers to high pairs, and she can also be doing this with suited connectors. I don't necessarily expect to make an immediate profit in this hand, but I don't want her thinking that she can 3-bet squeeze at will in future hands. The flop comes 7-4 deuce rainbow, and this hits my range way harder than it hits hers. When I flat the initial pre-flop raise and then call a 3-bet, it looks a lot like I'm set mining with a small to medium pair. She's never going to 3-bet with a pocket pair like 7s or worse, so the best hand she's usually going to have here is an overpair, and a lot of the time she won't have a pair at all. She c-bets 140. Not only is this a good flop for my range, it's not a terrible flop for my actual hand. There are quite a few good turn cards. Any ace or 8 gives me a pair, while a spade gives me the nut flush draw, and a 3, 5, or 6 give me either a gut shot straight draw or a double gut shot straight draw. I call with devious plans for the turn. The turn is the jack of spades. Pretty good card for us. If we were behind, we picked up several outs, and our opponent checks. It's now on us. We didn't float the flop to try and get to the showdown for free. While we might actually have the best hand with ace high, we bet 275 just to make sure she doesn't beat us with a better ace, and if she is checking for pot control, we have plenty of equity if we do get called. She folds, and we're happy to take down the pot on the turn. We're still playing 6-handed, and we've now got king-queen offsuit in the big blind. Under the gun +1, who was our opponent in the last hand, opens to 30. The button calls, and he's a rec player that might have had 1 or 7 too many drinks on the night. I call, and we go 3 ways to the flop. The flop comes king-queen 4 rainbow. I check to the aggressor, she checks, and the button checks back. The turn is a 6 of hearts. We bet 50 into 95. Under the gun +1 folds, and the button calls. He'd been making some pretty light calls, so we're very happy to be in this situation with him. The river is the 8 of spades, great card. A straight gets there, but otherwise it's pretty much a blank. I want to make it look like I missed a flush draw, and I bet 200, which is slightly more than the pot. He calls, I turn over our hand, and we win a nice one before we get moved to the main game, which was significantly more difficult. I carry over 2K to the next table. We're in for 26, so we're stuck a little bit. Super Crusher Danielle Anderson, better known as Dmoongirl, is in the game. My friend Kevin, who is slightly less intimidating, was also in there. Several other 5-10 regs were in too, so the game didn't look too good. I figured I'd play a few hands and then rack up. I play tight for a half hour, then in rolls the #king. Never heard of him before that night. All I know is that I don't trust anyone who wears 2 watches. In the first hand, he straddles from under the gun and Kevin opens to 60 on the button. It folds back to the king and he shoved all in for 1500. Kevin folds and the hashtag king turns over ace-10 of clubs. It was clear that he was in the mood to gamble, so at that point I decided to stick around. 3 hands later, it's another straddle pot. Kevin is first to act and he raised it up to 60. I'm directly to Kevin's left and I look down at pocket 10s. It's a strange position to be in because Kevin has a relatively tight under the gun range. Still, 10s is going to have most of his hands beat. I want to figure out a way to get it in against the hashtag king since he's clearly in the mood to gamble. I just don't know quite how to do that. I decide to 3-bet to 160, thinking that if the hashtag king either shoves or 4-bets to a smaller amount, Kevin is only going to get it in with the very top of his range since he knows that I don't normally 3-bet very light, particularly when I'm in such an early position. I imagine Kevin will only shove with ace-king, possibly ace-queen, and possibly jacks or better. Then I can just fold if Kevin jams. The hashtag king actually videoed his point of view and sent it to me, so I'm going to put up both videos with his on the left. I synced the sound, so you should be able to hear everything that went on in the hand, including comments from me, Kevin, the hashtag king, and Dmoongirl. Here it is.
How much is it?
160.
How are you begin?
Bluffing گرفتم.
Yeah, thank you.
You have 15? Started with 15? No, yeah, maybe close to 16 now.
Yeah, you gotta sit up.
Come on.
Yeah.
Fuck. How much? I want an exact count.
I got you covered.
Fuck.
1, 15, 17, 18. What included? 19 included.
I should fold, but I hate to fold.
There's no fun.
I haven't folded it. Call. One time?
Sure.
What?
Sure, one time's good.
Sure. Bing, bing, bing. Holy fuck. I'm almost nuts. Come on. Fuck. Bing!
Oh wow.
That's like an actual one-time flop.
Yeah. Flop money was going in anyways, huh?
You have me covered?
Yeah,
yeah.
we got 19.
That's it.
It was great to win that one. Usually I never want to get it in for 160 big blinds with pocket 10s, but in this spot it seemed like the best play to make, especially after seeing the hashtag king shove with ace-10 suited. I was just a slight favorite pre-flop and was basically flipping, but it worked out well. The flop was almost as good as it gets and he still had plenty of outs. The turn was no help to him and the river sealed it, giving us top boat and the second nuts. I played for only another half hour. I was stuck 1100 at one point and had played 13 hours total on the day, so I was happy to get out of there up over 900 on the session. That's it for this episode, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. I told a few of you that I would find you if you didn't subscribe, and I found at least 4 of you. There are a few more that I have to get, I guess. But, you know, I'm taking it slow. I will find you. It's just going to take a little bit of time. I can't go after everyone all at once, you know. So anyways, special thanks to the guys at I'm a Whale, and special thanks to the hashtag king as well. Despite him being kind of a nutball, he was really nice to me, and he gave me that footage of his perspective to use, so that's really cool. Hope you guys are all doing well, and good luck at the tables.